things you don't talk about at parties. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Keep this frequency clear.
And now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something that should not be even entertained for a minute, that powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff.
You're watching The Truth Is Viral, the only news program on the internet trusted to deliver the truth since 2008. And now, here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to The Truth Is Viral Live. I'm your host, Bob Powell, and for the next hour or so, I'm going to give you news and views from my own unique perspective. But why don't we start out this broadcast with a little prayer, asking Father for His blessing on me and this show, that I might be His voice of truth and eventually reach millions. God speaking, are you listening? That was Casting Crowns and the voice of truth. Okay, here's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to have a special guest. His name's Rick Ector. He's a Second Amendment rights activist and firearms instructor in arguably the most dangerous city in the country, and down in Detroit. Now, if you're new to the show, you might be asking yourself, well, who is this guy? And why should I listen to him? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. As soon as I can find this little clip. It's around here somewhere. I'm like a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest around here. Okay, let me find... There we go. That's what we're looking for. Okay, like I said, you might wonder who I am, where I came from. Well, by the time this hits YouTube, you can click that link right there for the long detailed version of it. But long story short, I'm a retired by disability journalist. I got sick and tired of the lies and obfuscations that I heard on the mainstream media, and I figured that as long as my mouth continued to work, well, I've still got a job to do. But I haven't been able to make this show the success that it is all by myself. I have a very dedicated staff working at the Truth Is Viral forum at TTiV.4emotion.com. Jimmy and Lou are doing a wonderful job over there. They're my OG NCOs. They've been working very hard to keep the forum fresh and the denizens in line. And over at the Facebook page, Becky has been helping out quite a bit, although a lupus flare has her pretty much sidelined at the moment, so I'd like to definitely send up a prayer asking for her speedy recovery. And I would also like to thank my mother, who is watching this broadcast, who sacrificed so much to make sure that I had the very best education that money could buy. And that education is going to serve all of us very well in the days and months ahead. Oh boy. Okay, I'm going to try to get through this. And then, of course, there's my wife, DeLynn. We've been together for more than half of my life. And I can count on one hand the number of times that we've been apart for more than 12 hours. When I was first disabled, she really had her hands full, literally pushing a baby carriage in one hand and a wheelchair in the other. She stood by me and supported me through a host of medical problems that took away my livelihood and threatened to take my life at more than one occasion. Now, she's the one that's sick. Just before last Thanksgiving, she was diagnosed with advanced colorectal and liver cancer. It was so advanced that the doctors wanted to just send her home to die. But she decided that she wanted to fight. That's exactly what she's doing. And I'll tell you, Chesty Puller would be proud of the battle that this woman is waging against these cancerous little bastards. She's killing them left and right. And I know that I am. And I'm proud to stand by this woman who refused to abandon me. When I couldn't even bathe myself. And when the drugs that the doctors had me on had turned me into little more than a lump on the couch. Thank God I threw that monkey off my back about 5 years ago. You know, I finally realized that I would always be in pain, no matter what I did. And I could either be in pain as a lump on the couch, or I could be in pain, grit my teeth and get through it and actually do some good for my fellow man. And aren't you glad that I did? Okay, here's a quick recap of the history of The Truth Is Viral. It all started when the first Republican debate came to the city where I was living at the time, as Greenville, South Carolina. I was just starting to get my sea legs back from more than 2 decades of surgeries and physical therapies, and I wanted to get my hand back in the game. And so I asked for credentials from the Republican committee, and next thing you know, there I am at the Peace Center in Greenville interviewing Herman Cain and Governor Gary Johnson about what they thought about President Obama's war targeting American citizen Anwar al-Awlaki. The fact that Anwar al-Awlaki is an American citizen,
Yes.
and that he's never been charged, much less convicted of a crime.
He should be.
But, well, whether he should be or not is beside the point. He has not been charged and he has not been convicted in a court of law. He's an American citizen.
I agree.
Do you think that when the President of the United States can issue an execution order on an American citizen without having been brought to trial, do we live in a dictatorship now?
Well, and what you point out is very troubling, yes.
Okay, so yeah, it's very troubling. And that statement that Herman Cain made actually came back to bite him in the ass. My interview was featured on Judge Napolitano's Fox show Freedom Watch, because after al-Awlaki had been killed, Herman Cain tried to say that he had been for that killing all along. Well, guess what, Herman? You got caught by the best. And then when I moved to Michigan, I went to Camp Grayling. I wanted to check out firsthand this FEMA camp that they supposedly had down there. And while I was there, I happened to run into a young man with a Ron Paul bumper sticker and a story. Let's see what he has to say. You were in the Guard for 10 years, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
We talked just a few minutes ago, and you told me that something strange was happening back in the summer of 2010. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, working for a local hardware company, I had multiple vehicles come in with GSA, government services, license plates on them, and several men and women that identified themselves as DOD contractors. And they were buying up a lot of 4x4 posts, plywood, concrete bags, cement blocks, patios. And I asked them what they were building, and they told me they were setting up a Middle Eastern type village for training purposes at Camp Grayling.
Why am I all bundled up like an Eskimo? Because it's 8 degrees out here. It's freaking cold. It's okay. I'll do what I have to do to get to the truth about the place behind me, this Camp Grayling. Is it a National Guard training center, as the sign says? Sure it is. Could it be a concentration camp in the future? Well, that's what I'm here to find out. The next show I did, well, one of the next shows I did was about Libya, what was actually going on. When Obama was using al-Qaeda terrorists to overthrow Muammar Gaddafi, he used the excuse that Gaddafi was about to unleash WMDs on the protesters that were, of course, the worst kind of al-Qaeda scumbags, being led by al-Qaeda leaders Abdul Belhaj and Abdel Hakim al-Asidi. Now, I exposed Obama's crimes with that information, which just about everybody that was paying attention had. But I also had an exclusive interview in the form, or exclusive information in the form of an interview with a NATO spokesman who told me that Obama's reason for intervening in Libya was a lie, and that NATO was well aware that Gaddafi had no weaponized WMDs. They had, in fact, been helping Gaddafi dispose of those weapons since 2003.
Part of the issue with Gaddafi was he was very demonstrably drawing down his old WMD capability. Now that the raw materials were there, and those needed to be secured, but there was, I remember, and in fact I talked to a journalist who was there for a long time through the summer, and he was saying there was nothing weaponized because they'd very deliberately stopped that program and were kind of in the process of disposing of it all.
Now, those same terrorists are the ones that were responsible for the attack on the CIA outpost in Benghazi on September 11th, 2011. Ambassador Christopher Stevens had just met with the Turkish ambassador to arrange delivery of more than 20,000 Stinger-type missiles that Belhaj and his al-Qaeda scumbags had liberated from Gaddafi's armories. You can watch that story in that link right there. And the only problem was that the terrorists that Belhaj had left behind in Libya didn't want to give up those weapons and forward them to the terrorists in Syria. These guys, you know, they hate each other just as much. They just soon kill each other. But when an American is in the mix, well, that's a bonus. Now, if you've been watching the show, then you also heard Nate Wessler of the ACLU's Targeted Assassinations team called Barack Obama judge, jury, and executioner in reference to his targeting of United States citizens with drone attacks without any kind of judicial review or congressional oversight.
So I asked Nate, was there any good reason why the Obama administration didn't even attempt to take this through the courts?
The United States has a fully functioning court system that is used every day to address serious matters, including allegations of terrorism. So if the government in fact had information that Anwar al-Awlaki was engaged in actual activity that was likely to lead to the deaths of U.S. citizens or others, or that he actually had engaged in that activity, then that should furnish the government with grounds to go to court, seek an indictment, charge him, and proceed to trial. And there are lots of examples in recent years and in the further past of successful prosecutions against people accused of terrorism. And really, without more information from the government, it's impossible to know what kind of evidence they had. You know, if they had to go to court, they would have to produce evidence to the judge or the jury, prove their case, and then a verdict would be issued. Here, the government, the president, and those working for him seem to have taken on the duty of judge, jury, and executioner all by themselves.
Okay, now you've also heard from CIA spy Reza Khalili, who said that the Iranians have already got nuclear weapons that they purchased on the black market and have manufactured enough uranium to manufacture 6 more of their own. He also says that the Iranian belief that they are destined to be the ones to bring back the Islamic Messiah known as Imam Mahdi by destroying Israel and attacking the United States with an electromagnetic pulse device that could send the entire country back to the 1800s in a millisecond.
Well, yes, I believe then that the Iranians have 2 nuclear warheads, which they purchased from the former Soviet republics after the fall of the Soviet Union. It is the ideology that we got to understand. They truly believe in the end of times. They truly believe in the coming of the last Shiite Messiah, Imam Mahdi, and they believe all these signs of whatever is taking place in the Middle East, which they call the Islamic Awakening, in Europe and U.S., the fall of the economy, they see these signs as per centuries-old hadith, that the time is close, and the trigger is destroying Israel. So when they say that Israel needs to be destroyed, it's not rhetoric. It is within their belief that once that's done, then the coming will be upon us. And I advise everyone to watch that secret documentary, which I reviewed, The Coming is Upon Us. This was made by the Revolutionary Guards and the Basij in Iran with the approval of the President's office and the Supreme Leader's office. They were going to distribute this in the Middle East, and I reviewed it just as they finished production and showed it to the hierarchy in Iran, and then a whole thing unraveled. This is their theology, this is their ideology, and this is what they think the world will come to. Endless wars, atomic wars, collapse of global economy, havoc, chaos, lawlessness, millions dead, then Imam Mahdi will come. Revolutionary Guards have armed the vessels with ballistic missiles, and that And they are ready. These ballistic missiles could be launched from anywhere, and they're going to expand their mission into Atlantic Ocean. So you could see a commercial ship, not necessarily a naval ship, a commercial ship coming up the Atlantic Ocean, close to Venezuela, Cuba, right behind the Gulf of Mexico, or even further down. And from a container in less than 60 seconds, launch a missile with a nuclear bomb on top of it to create an electromagnetic pulse attack. I have also verified that they've got neutron bombs. Neutron bombs are super EMP bombs. So they could plan an attack as such, which, if successful, only one or two could create such havoc in U.S. and send us back to the 18th century. All the power grids would fry, everything with electronics would fry, cars would stop operating, communication would go down. And actually a report by the Congress, a commission for the Congress, has stated that if such attack were to occur, 2/3 of American population would cease to exist just after 1 year of such attack.
Okay, now we've also talked with theologian Chuck Missler about secret societies and UFOs, author Patrick Heron about New York City being the whore of Babylon, and Pastor Carl Gallups of the P.P. Simmons Ministry, who proved beyond a shadow of a doubt in his book Magic Man in the Sky, effectively defending the Christian faith that God is real, that the Bible is true, and in a separate conversation confirmed that the end times are upon us. The Gog-Magog war is about to start in the Middle East, and you can watch those episodes by clicking those links back there. Now that the Truth Is Viral is going live 5 nights a week, we hope to bring you a lot of these types of interviews with the best experts on subjects that interest my viewers the most. Now, you need to subscribe to the Truth Is Viral on YouTube, on Facebook, Twitter, and visit the homepage where it all began back in 2008 at bobpowell.blogspot.com. And I would be very grateful if you would share the show with your friends and family, because time is running out. Now, when this war begins, exactly how it begins makes really no difference, whether it starts between Iran and Israel or with North Korea, blustering up, that could be an issue as well. In fact, I'll be showing you how North Korea and Iran have actually teamed up to oppose the United States on this one issue. They've been working on missile technology and nuclear technology together for years, and I believe that they will strike the United States with a series of electromagnetic pulse devices. And the reason that I believe that is because it's the simplest way for them to do it. They've got the technology and it can be done. And it's the only way that they can hope to defeat us. It's the only way they can possibly hope to defeat the great Satan. And because they know that they can't slug it out with us. It just can't be done. So when this war begins, there's going to be chaos in the United States. And that's just the beginning. Okay, they're going to shut down the Straits of Hormuz. You know that they can do that. Gas prices are going to soar dramatically, almost immediately, severely damaging an already fragile economy. But regardless of the trigger, the Department of Homeland Security has been getting ready for massive civil unrest in the United States, having bought more than 2 billion bullets in the past year and distributing them to federal agencies as diverse as the Social Security Administration and the National Weather Service. Oh my God, protect us from weathermen packing heat. But while they're building up their private little army, they're trying to take our guns. They're trying to take the guns of law-abiding citizens so that we can't resist this satanic, demonic tyranny that's falling on our nation. And they're using fake statistics and knee-jerk reactions to tragedies like the movie theater shooting in Aurora, Colorado, and the Sandy Hook School in Newtown, Connecticut. The Second Amendment is under attack all across the nation, but here in Michigan, local lawmakers, members of law enforcement, and the average guy on the street have banded together to tell the Obama administration to go suck eggs if they think that they're going to subjugate the people of the great state of Michigan to their unconstitutional and tyrannical laws. The House of Representatives and the Senate have both unanimously nullified Section 1021 of the National Defense Authorization Act, which allows the United States military to arrest any citizen without a charge and hold them indefinitely and never even give them access to a lawyer. They can even send you overseas and let some scumbag torture you in a Muslim country, in some of those CIA black bag prisons. That's just un-American. And anybody that supports it is a traitor. Well, right now, though, let's change the mood just a little bit. I was getting a little bit serious there. And I'm going to play a song that really inspires me. And on the other side of it, we're going to talk to our guest, Rick Ector. This is, if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. This is Casting Crowns once again. And this one's called Courageous.
We were made to be courageous.
Well, I would say that that's pretty good advice. Seek justice, love mercy, walk calmly with your God. I have a problem with that sometimes. Sometimes I just want to kick somebody's ass. You know what I mean? People are just so stupid these days, the things that they say and the things that they do. Okay, let's go now to our special guest tonight. His name is Rick Ector. Rick Ector is a highly credentialed and well-respected firearms instructor and gun rights activist based in Detroit, Michigan. His company, Rick's Firearm Academy of Detroit, specializes in providing state of Michigan compliant pistol licenses, concealed pistol license training classes to law-abiding citizens throughout the state of Michigan. Ector's educational activities have been featured in national news media among the United Press, UPI, Fox, U.S. Politics Daily, NRA News, Cam & Company, Tactical Life Magazine, Gun Digest, Sporting News, ConcealCarry.com. You can carry, if it's a gun magazine, if it has anything to do with guns, you'll find this man in the forefront of that issue. Now, locally here in Michigan, Ector's activities have garnered appearances on all the local television shows. He's a member of the National Rifle Association. I'm assuming he's a lifetime member. Founder of 2 local gun rights advocacy groups, Legally Armed in Detroit and Detroit Open Carry. Additionally, he's a member of Michigan Gun Owners and the Michigan Open Carry Association. He's got credentials from the National Rifle Association. He's a certified range training safety officer. The list is incredible. He earned a BS from industrial engineering from Wayne State. And he also graduated from Continental Auctioneering College in Mankato, Minnesota. And he's also currently credentialed as a certified auctioneer and a certified property appraiser. Jeez, this guy is busy. Okay, let's give old Mr. Rick Ector a call via Skype. You should pick up the phone. Reading. What was that? 1 ringing.
Hello, this is Rick.
2 ringing. Hi, Mr. Rick Ector. How you doing? This is Bob Powell from the Truth Is Viral. Welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Thank you so very much for inviting me and extending an invitation to be here. Very pleased and privileged to be a guest on the show.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure. Rick, I couldn't help but notice that you were one of like 2. Or maybe 3 or 4 people of African American descent at that gun rally in Lansing. And since I met you, I've done some more research, but you aren't alone. Seems like the African American community is really coming out and supporting the Second Amendment recently. Can you talk about that for just a minute?
Yeah, most definitely. The African American community is not, as many would have you believe, to be wholly anti-gun. There are swarms of people in not only this community but other communities in other states in which gun ownership is warmly embraced. There's a lot of things that go into that, and in terms of participation in rallies and going to gun conferences, but ideologically, there are a lot of people of color who are gun owners, proud gun owners, who do not wish to see their right to own and keep and bear firearms. But, you know, I was glad to be there. For me personally, to be at the rally, it was one of those things that personally, that if, you know, you didn't have anything more important to do, and I can, like, search really hard to try to find what that would be, but I knew that I had to be at the rally to support gun rights. It's so important, and I thought that if my presence would add one more to the total tally count, that it would be appreciative. When you consider the numbers we had in the aggregate on the steps of the Capitol, it didn't get reported throughout the state. There were a few local media outlets that, in my opinion, at least initially grossly counted the number of people that participated. It was important for me to be counted, and I was there, and it was a great experience, and I've truly believe that not only within the Metro Detroit area, but we got wide support across the state from people who are willing to take a day off work in the middle of the week to be there on such a momentous occasion.
In 18-degree weather, I might add. Now,
you know, it was cold, it was freezing, my feet felt like bricks, but you know what? I was willing to do that on a weekday, work day. Not that I work for corporate America, you know, I work for myself, but still, just pushing business off to the side just to be with like-minded fellow patriots, fellow citizens, to support our Second Amendment rights was that important to me, and I was there. You know, a lot of people, they you know, there are, you know, reasons why other folks couldn't have been there, why we couldn't have had, you know, twice the number of folks. You know, they say they got to work, you know, family commitments, this, that, and the other. For me personally, everything else I had going on was not more important than being there.
Well, you know, I actually started, the first city I ever open carried in was in Detroit. And I was working as a private investigator when I was going to college. I provided security for Band's Drugs there on 8 Mile, close to the state fair, and various other things around town. But the thing that I remember most about that period in my life was the time when I got to save a life. There's there's a Wendy's there at Frazo and Gratiot. And I was going through that Wendy's drive-thru one day, and a green van came in and skidded to a stop right in front of me. And out of the passenger seat, a woman stumbled out, and she's crawling around on the ground. And out of the driver's seat, a guy gets out and comes around with a tire iron or a crowbar, something like that, in his hand. Well, I get out of my car in the Wendy's drive-thru, and I walk up to him with my .357. I point it in his face, and I said, "If you don't drop that tire iron, I'm going to drop you." And he looked down the barrel of it for about 2 seconds. He made a decision, and he made a good decision, because he did lower it, and he got back in his van and drove away. The woman ran into the Wendy's, and I never saw either one of them again. But when I turned around, you know, there's the people in the Wendy's giving me the standing ovation. You know, my point is, though, that had I not been there, that woman would have been dead. There's no doubt in my mind. Because if he had started hitting her with that tire iron, bashing her brains in, how long is the average response time for a police officer in Detroit?
Oh man, that depends on who you ask and under what circumstances. You know, there's a graduated response scale that they have, and you know, you can't really pin it down exactly to what the requirements are to be at a certain level, but unless someone is actively at the scene creating a danger to someone else, it's not a highest priority call. And it's really unfortunate, you know, here in the city. We can't even tell people that if they feel that they're being followed after 4 o'clock to go to the police station. So, yeah, I'm very sensitive to, police response times, but on the other hand, I must say that I'm sympathetic to the people that are working. They only have so many people on staff. They only want to pay so much money. They've had pay cuts and attrition. People have left. They're working on 12 hours a shift. All those factors, they come together and they create a perfect storm. And folks really have to realize that, look, public safety isn't, a cure-all. It's not there, to ensure that any one specific citizen cannot be a victim of crime. It's just there for the general peace. You must take it upon yourself to be your own first responder. And for many people, I advocate that they embrace firearms ownership, get training, and be their first and only first responder if something happens, because if we call 911, depending on the circumstances, they may not show up.
Hey, well, Rick, let me ask you a question. A lot of practically all of the attention recently about guns has to do with semi-automatic firearms like the AR-15 or whatnot, because I think they look bad. But from the statistics that we can see, like in Chicago, for example, where gun deaths exceed the deaths in Afghanistan, and none of them are committed by an assault rifle. Why is it that you think that the administration is ignoring the problem, which is stolen guns in an inner city environment where nobody else is allowed to be armed but the criminals?
Well, Chicago really, for a lot of reasons, is like a very telling example of what extreme gun control really represents. A lot of anti-gun ownership folks, anti-gun advocates, they don't like to talk about Chicago at all, and they will change the subject on you very quickly and just concede the point that anytime you have an environment in which you have basically disarmed the public, it's going to have increased and elevated levels of crime, and people who are good people are not going to be able to defend themselves. And you know what? There's a knee-jerk reaction on the behalf of these gun control advocates to pick a favorite target. And you know what? The favorite target is these so-called assault rifles. And no one really knows what an assault rifle is, but just as long as it's black and it's scary and it's long, you can create all of these negative images in the minds of the most gun-phobic person that exists in our society. And then you pretty much are absolving the bad guys of all the heinous crimes that they commit. You're basically attributing all the evil to the gun. And when you look at the statistics, more people are beaten and killed and bludgeoned with bare fists and or baseball bats than with these ARs that they were trying to ban. But from what I've heard, recently in the media, the assault weapon ban part 2 is a non-starter. They're looking at other things, but lo and behold, at the end of the day, it's really a zero-sum game. A lot of people talk about, well, why don't you pro-gun people, want to compromise? Well, when you think about it, it's not a compromise. A compromise is when both parties come to a conversation and say, okay, well, we're going to give up this and to have an agreement. Well, it's not a compromise because we, the law-abiding citizens who believe in the Second Amendment, were constantly asked to give up ground. And when you're constantly giving up ground, it's not a compromise, it's a concession. And we're constantly moving the goal line. and eventually we're going to negotiate ourselves out of our right to keep their firearms.
Right, not too long ago, I published an episode about the guns disappearing off of the store shelves, and you know, the fact that we can't find ammunition anywhere. DHS has bought up quite a bit of it, but I think the rest of it's gone, bought by scared people that don't know what the future holds. Basically, I guess my question at this moment, Rick, is how's business? Are you getting a lot of people wanting to learn how to you know, handle a rifle and get properly licensed?
You know, I don't know how to characterize this to say business is good, because typically speaking, when business is good for me, that usually means that there's something else that has happened that's not so good. Demand has been fairly high for class and for training, and that's usually indicative of some issues we have in our community. You know, when you look at crime nationally, you know, nationally the numbers are down, but when you look in metro, you know, areas such as Detroit, you know, unfortunately crime is up, particularly in the city of Detroit. You know, we average 1 homicide and 2 rapes and 36 armed robberies and 87 aggravated assaults every day, and these are just, you know, figures that are actually reported. You know, of course, there's some that are not reported, but business is good, you know, but it's not a good thing for us societally. It's the environment in which we exist today, and if we want to ensure that we're safe, we will do what's required. And sometimes that translates into people hoarding ammunition. You know, yes, we've seen numerous news reports of the federal government, from the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration. I think I even saw a news report with the Social Security Administration. They're all buying these self-defense jacketed hollow point rounds for domestic use. And you know what? No one seems to know why they're buying all this ammo and for what purpose they need it. And yes, those of us who are concerned about having a means to defend ourselves, we want to have ammunition. And as a matter of fact, it even goes beyond just having ammunition to defend yourself. It is a responsible thing to do for a gun owner to practice their marksmanship skills so that they don't become a threat to the safety of their community if they can't hit what they're aiming at. So, you know, if we're shooters and we're self-defense people, we're personal protection advocates, not only do we need ammo to defend ourselves, but we need to practice. So, yeah, it's a very troublesome time that we're experiencing right now.
All right. Well, Rick Ector, thank you for being on The Truth Is Viral. I'm sorry, but we are just running out of time. If you guys live in Detroit and you don't yet have your CPL license, make sure that you go to Rick's Firearm Academy in Detroit. And to make sure that you keep safe, read his blog. It's called Laid, Legally Armed in Detroit. Rick, thank you for being on The Truth Is Viral. I appreciate it.
Man, once again, I want to thank you sincerely for offering me the opportunity to be on your show. You know, the inaugural show, so I feel particularly blessed, and you know, I wish you much success, and I'm going to be following you, and hopefully you'll have me back on again.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you very much. You have a good day. Boop, boop. I love that little bloop that Skype has. Okay, that was Rick Ector, Second Amendment activist and firearm instructor in the world's most dangerous, well, not the world's most dangerous city, but definitely the most dangerous city in the United States. Okay, now I'd like to remind everybody that if you have an old Jim Carrey tape or DVD, you need to send it to Post Office Box 91, Alpena, Michigan 49707. On the 4th of July, I'm going to have a Jim Carrey comeuppance party, and we're going to see how creative we can get destroying these DVDs, just the way Jim Carrey has destroyed his own career. That should be a really fun episode. I've got a wood chipper lined up, some acid, some exploding targets. They sell those in Walmart. Those are going to be so cool to play with. And if I can find somebody that is properly licensed, we're going to see if we can't come up with some kind of a controlled explosion. How'd you like that? That would be awesomely cool. Yeah, don't forget, you're going to want to tune in for that episode. Also, I'd like to remind you that Truth is Viral is going to be live from now on, from 11 p.m. until midnight, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. And let's see, yeah, where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so don't forget to like The Truth Is Viral on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at The Truth Is Viral. Share the show to all your friends and your neighbors and your family, because folks, let me tell you, it's going to get bad, and it's going to get bad real quick. Now, the show is not over yet. If you keep an eye on the clock, we still got 10 minutes left. Okay, so don't go anywhere, because I'm going to play one more video clip for you, and this is something that really inspires me, and I hope that it will.
I am going to introduce you to the gospel right now. You are a rebel. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, I'll tell you straight up. You are a rebel against the living God. This is your natural disposition. Why? Because you are born in sin. We are in a prison cell. And it takes the awakening and the grace of God, you call it the prevenient grace of God, to awaken us to the fact that we are lost and we can't get out. We're headed towards destruction fast. The enemy, because of our rebellion against God, has legal rights to harm and harass our life. There you are behind the prison cell. Help, I need out! You can't get out. Those prison bars are stronger than any adamant. There is no way you can cut them because they're stronger than diamond. It is impenetrable. You cannot escape. You're doomed, because when the enemy comes in the very end, and he's going to finish you off because he has legal right to do it, and he's going to relish every minute of it. In strolls your intercessor, your mighty man. And he stands between you and that accuser, and he takes the hit that was rightfully yours. He takes the blow that was intended for you. That is an extraordinary reality, that he was turned to a pulp, and he actually died. God died for you. Over your prison cell, it has always said condemned, separated eternally from God, guilty. And then suddenly it switches. When you realize what Jesus Christ has done, it says justified. It says forgiven, redeemed. Here's the problem. Most of us have stopped with the good news right there. The blood of Jesus Christ has been shed and he was killed. Now, I want you to know that is unbelievable news. But we are still in a prison cell. And so we're praising God from within a prison cell, going, thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for changing the sign on the outside of the prison. And God's word says, could you check the door to the prison cell? Because my blood was shed for more than just forgiveness. Forgiveness was the avenue through which he could make the escape for us. He isn't just interested in dealing with the consequences or the penalty of sin. He's also dealt with the problem of sin. That's the door. It's unlocked. The door to the prison cell is unlocked. Walk out. Smell the open air of freedom and liberty in the life of Jesus Christ. When you get outside the prison cell, there's like this chariot that's waiting. Emissaries from the king, and they say the king beckons you into his presence. You know how bizarre this is when you realize that you were a rebel? That you were undeserving completely. The living God has literally given up his life for you, and now he has set you free, and now the very king is beckoning you into his presence. It's like, are you sure you have the right guy here? I'm a rebel. I stood against my God. I spat in his face. How could he want me? The king beckons you. You get in the chariot. And as you're pulling into the kingdom, you're looking for where they might drop you off. You're looking for that poor district. You're saying, where are you taking me? Well, into the very near presence of the king. He wants you to live right where he lives. Not just the penalty, not just the problem, but an invitation into his very near presence. But as you're coming in, the emissaries say, He wants to adopt you as his child. Me? His child? We are brought in and invited near to share his heart. You come into his presence, totally broken before the reality of what he has done for you. I don't deserve this. Why have you done this for me? I love you. I have a commission for you. For me? You want to have me work for you? I want you to work for me. I want you to represent me. Absolutely. Anything I can do for you, just tell me. I need you to go back to that prison cell that I took you out of, because there's a whole bunch more that need to know about me and my love and my truth. Will you go for me? In a heartbeat. I would gladly serve you any way you want, any way you ask. I need to forewarn you. I'm going to send you out, and you'll be as a sheep among wolves. They'll kill you. They'll destroy you. They'll hate you. They'll persecute you. They will do whatever they can to harm you. I'm in. I'll do it, God. I don't care. You shed your blood for me. I would gladly shed my blood for you. Take my body, take my blood, spend it any way you want. I belong to you in covenant. Take me, Lord Jesus. Send me. The commission, not just the penalty, not just the problem, not just the invitation into his very near presence, not just the adoption as a son and a daughter of the King of Kings, but we are commissioned to represent him. And I want you to realize that it's a privilege beyond all other privileges to bear the very name, the very image, the very reputation of God Almighty. And he says, I ask you to go. Go and make disciples of all men. Go and be unashamed of my gospel and preach it. Go, rescue the lost in the power of my name. For is not the lamb that was slain worthy to receive the reward of his suffering. I'll go. And as you're beginning to head out with his blessing, he says, hold it. Wait, there's one more thing. Not just the penalty, not just the problem, not just the invitation to his very near presence, not just the adoption as the son or a daughter of the king, and not just the commission. This is the capstone. If you think that is all good, you could wrap that all up into one ball and it still falls short of the final one. Because this final one is so condescending on the part of our king. It is so bewildering. It is so extraordinary, so amazing. And this is the truth that turns the world upside down. Before you go, what I'm sending you out to do is impossible. I know. Impossible. And if you do it in your own strength, you'll fail. I don't care. I'm willing to do whatever you ask of me. And if you want me to go in there and just die, I'm willing. I'm sending you out to be a victor. My children will not lose. Would you give me your body? And I will come in and make it my home. And I will take those hands of yours and make them my hands. I will take those feet of yours and make them my feet. I will take that mouth of yours and it will speak my words. I will take those eyes of yours and they can now see what I need you to be seen in this world. And I will take your heart of stone and make it a heart of flesh so that it will beat with my burdens and you will care for the very things that I care about. And your prayers will become my prayers. And your life and your attitude and your behavior every minute of every day will be the very behavior of God. Will you allow me to overtake your life? Because then we go into this world as little lambs with the faces of lions. Because the living God Almighty, the consuming, almighty, sovereign God dwells within his children. And as we stand and the wolf pack surrounds us, we stand in the authority in the name of Jesus, and we will not back down. Because we do not head off to war to lose. We head off to war to win. Our God mocks all the powers of earth and hell through fluffy little lambs. Because his lambs beat the wolf packs. That's the gospel. The gospel trounces upon all the powers of earth and hell and demonstrates to the universe the manifold wisdom of God, that he is in control. And even though we look weak, and even though physically and naturally we are weak, spiritually greater is he that is in us than he that is in this world. That is good off the impossible on your own. You don't have to fail any longer. Your God is ready to do it in and through you. You can't do it. You can't muster up the discipline. You can't muster up the intellect. You can't muster up the strength. You can't muster up the perseverance and the fortitude. He can. You can't love the lost. You can't love those that spit upon your face. He can. Don't pray that God would teach you how to love like He loves. Pray that He would fill you with Himself and He would love in and through you. Don't pray that He would teach you to have joy. Pray that the living God full of joy would enter into you. Don't pray that He would teach you how to be peaceful. Ask for the God of peace, the Prince of Peace, to infill you. Because if you try and imitate your own strength, you will be a miserable replica. But if you allow the impartation of Jesus Christ to overtake you, suddenly it all works. Because it's Him imitating Himself. And He's very good at being God.
Every time I watch that video, I definitely want to go back into that prison cell and release all the other prisoners. That's what the Truth Is Viral is all about. We're here to save lives. And maybe, if we're lucky, a soul or two for Jesus Christ. Don't forget to look for the new episode coming up with Pastor Carl Gallups. He and I are going to be interviewing Detective Mike Zullo of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Cold Case Posse. They've been looking into Barack Obama's birth certificate, and we've got some new information. That episode will be out this weekend. Don't forget to like The Truth Is Viral on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, and go to www.bobpowell.blogspot.com. And if you can, please leave a donation. It does cost money to put on our show. So thank you very much for watching The Truth Is Viral. My name is Bob Powell, and as always, until next time, God bless. Semper Fi. Hoorah.
Thank you for watching The Truth Is Viral with your host, Bobby Powell. Make sure to follow The Apocalypse on Twitter at The Truth Is Viral. Like The Truth Is Viral on Facebook, and if you can, please remember to donate to the cause via PayPal at www.bobpowell.blogspot.com.
Smack, runner,